representation. BLP is a private sector development program funded by New Zealand MFAT and delivered by DT Global. We've been operating in the Pacific for about 7 years now, and we started phase 2 of BLP just over 2 years ago. So we're really pleased with the way the program is progressing. We're now operating across 12 countries. We work very closely with in-country partners, with private sector organisations as our key representatives in country, who manage most of the activities on the ground and the key point of contact for small businesses. We also work very closely with business advisory service providers, accountants and other firms that deliver business advisory services locally. And we use exclusively local capacity and expertise to deliver support to SMEs across the 12 countries where we operate. And more recently, we've also started working closely with the financial institutions and working on that access to finance for SMEs that has always been a challenge in the Pacific. So we're really pleased to show some of the results that we've achieved over the last few years. BLP has a quality approved network of service providers. All of the service providers that we work with go through a competency assessment process, quality approved, and once they're quality approved, we subsidise the cost of those services to SMEs. So there's a network of 220 service providers across the Pacific now. We've worked with more than 1,700 small businesses, linking them up with local advisors, and we've done 2,700 subsidy projects, which has meant about over 7 billion New Zealand dollars has been invested in business advisory services. And we generally split the cost of those services with the SMEs themselves. We've been able to record over 1,000 new jobs with the businesses that we've worked with, and almost half of those jobs have been filled by women. The new investment that businesses have been able to pull in as a result of the support they've had from BLP has been quite substantial. We've been able to record more than 300 new investments that businesses have reported, and that translates to more than 50 million in New Zealand dollars worth of new investment. We've also facilitated almost 650 new business loans. We also distribute small grants, and the way that we structure the grant process is a bit like accessing a loan and the kind of information that you would need to present to the bank to secure a loan. So we use the grants as a way to prepare businesses to access other forms of finance, and we've distributed nearly $6 million of grants over the last few years. The entry point for services is often a business health check or a business diagnostic. Those are conducted through our local PSO Chamber of Commerce partners, who've done over 1,700 business diagnostics, and we've had more than 6,000 businesses go through our online business health checks and continuity planners. So the reach that we've had across the Pacific has been fantastic. Thousands of businesses that we've been able to support, and we're looking forward to doing more in the future. We're often asked what sectors we concentrate on. We're really broad in terms of the sectors that we work with. Obviously, tourism is a large chunk of the businesses, retail, agriculture, construction, professional services, manufacturing, and then smaller proportions of fisheries, export, energy, and resource sector. But a pretty good cross section of the business representation across the Pacific. So we reach into all sectors and tailor the support to what those businesses need. Our overall approach is a market-driven approach. We look at the work that we do split down into 3 different markets. The market for business advisory services, working on the supply and demand for advisory services, supporting business advisory service providers to deliver better services, better quality services, a broader range of services tailored to the needs of the SME sector, but then also working with SMEs to better understand what services would be useful to them, how they can access those services, who delivers them, and to subsidize some of the cost of those services so that SMEs can try different support services, see the value in them, and continue to pay for them long term, and thereby build the market for advisory services. We also look at the market for financial services, working closely with the banks and financial institutions, looking at some of the barriers to SMEs accessing finance, helping businesses to prepare loan applications, etc. And I'll talk a little bit more about that market on another slide. And then the PSOs, the Chambers of Commerce, and the coordination services that they provide to help SMEs to access the business advisory services and the financial services that they need to grow and expand and employ more people. So just focusing in on that financial services market, one of the things that we've been looking at over the last couple of years is what are the barriers to SMEs accessing finance? And I think these are pretty well documented. There's been a lot of research in the Pacific, and this is recognized as a challenge for small businesses to be able to access finance. There's a general lack of understanding within the SME sector of how to use finance to grow. And one of the things that we've been doing there is helping businesses to understand how to prepare business plans, how to prepare loan applications, using business advisory services and business diagnostics to help SMEs to understand, when to use finance and how to use finance to grow the business. SMEs' ability to provide the required collateral and security for loans is often a problem, particularly with land ownership and being able to use property as security. SMEs often find it difficult to have the cash available for cash equity requirements, etc., and the security to be able to secure a loan. So we've been using small grants to help businesses to have that cash equity, and we've also got a new cash equity guarantee facility, which helps SMEs to bridge that shortfall in collateral to be able to access and secure loans. The banks often tell us that the ability of small businesses to be able to present bankable proposals and good quality financial information is often a barrier, and that's where we use the grants as a way of helping businesses to prepare the kind of information they need to secure a bank loan, and also link them up with the business advisory support they need to be able to present a good quality loan application and the financial information that the banks need. And then finally, I think one of the things that we've seen, and I think also the banks recognise this, that the loan officers working in the field don't always understand the way they work and some of the challenges that SMEs face in accessing finance. So we've been doing some work with technical assistance and training for loan officers to help them better understand the SME realities and how to work with SMEs more effectively. So one of the things that we've been able to do this year, we did a Pacific-wide survey of small businesses across the Pacific. It was an online survey. We got more than 1,500 responses from small businesses across all of the countries that we're working in. But what this enabled us to do, because about 30% of those responses were from businesses that we'd provided direct support to through BLP, but a large proportion of them, about 70%, were businesses that we hadn't directly worked with. So what this enabled us to do was create 2 samples of small businesses that were as comparable as we could make them in terms of the countries that they were represented, the size of the businesses, the rural urban split, women led. So we had 2 reasonably comparable groups, and then we were able to compare how have the BLP supported group performed in comparison to the group that hasn't received any support from BLP. And we got some really interesting results, and really pleased to see that those BLP supported group performed across the board statistically significantly better than the group that had not received any support. So I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, and it's organized around our long-term and short-term outcomes that we're hoping to deliver through the BLP program. So first of all, looking at one of our short-term outcomes, Pacific SMEs, we're looking for them to become more efficient, productive, and profitable over time with the support and the services that they can access through BLP. So what we asked businesses were, what has the change been in their profitability and turnover over the last 12 months? And we were able to make this comparison between the group that had received support from BLP and the group that hadn't received support. So if you look at these charts, the first two columns represent turnover. The first column being 81% of businesses supported by BLP reported increases in turnover, compared to just 56% in the unsupported group. And those that had seen a reduction in turnover, also much smaller in the supported group compared to the unsupported group. And similarly, when we looked at profitability, 75% of the supported group compared to 50% in the group that hadn't received BLP support, and also with the fall in profitability as well. So really pleased to see that support that those businesses had received had really made such a significant difference in terms of reported increases in turnover and reported increases in profitability over the last 12 months. Another short-term outcome that we look at, short to medium-term outcome, is how businesses are interacting with their local private sector organisations or chambers of commerce. What we asked was how businesses had interacted with the private sector organisations in their country, how many were regularly interacting with them, and we found that the BLP supported group were far more likely to be working closely with their local chamber of commerce compared to the non-supported group. So 79% of those in the supported group were regularly interacting with a private sector organisation or the Chamber of Commerce. So good to see that work that we're doing with PSOs and in-country partners is showing those kind of results. And then the third short-term outcome we look at is it's around the access to advisory services, relevant quality advice that SMEs are able to access, and longer term, are they using and paying for that business advisory services? What we looked at here were the proportion of businesses that knew that a certain type of business advisory service was available in their country. So we looked at it from a perspective of awareness at this stage. And what we found was across the board, the green columns being the supported group compared to the purple ones being the unsupported group, across the board, across a whole range of services from organizational management to business continuity planning, accounting and financial management, export linkages, marketing, strategy, business coaching, across the board, businesses far more aware of those services in their country if they'd interacted with the BLP program and received support through BLP. And conversely, those that didn't know what services were available, far more of those in the unsupported group than the supported group. And then finally, we looked at Pacific financial institutions being able to offer products that were useful and impactful to SMEs, and how businesses were able to access those financial services. And we looked at the proportion of businesses that had reported that they had sought finance in the last 12 months, and what percentage of those had actually been able to secure that finance. So within the BLP supported group, 70% of those that had sought finance in the last 12 months had actually been able to secure it, compared to just 35% in the unsupported group. So I think that's a really significant result there of the extent to which business advisory support, the work that we've been doing with the supported group has really enabled them to be finance ready and able to secure finance from formal financial institutions. And then finally, we looked at long-term outcomes. We try to track the prosperity and the resilience of SMEs in the longer term, and we asked businesses around, had their business improved in the last 12 months, and we found 83% compared to 65% in the supported group. the 83% in the supported group reported that their business had improved. Looked at did businesses feel that they had fully recovered from the economic impacts of COVID-19? And again, we had 47% in the supported group compared to 30% in the unsupported. And did businesses think they were more resilient than they were 12 months ago? And again, 73% in the supported group compared to 59% in the unsupported group. Interestingly, there, still over 50% of the businesses in the Pacific are reporting that they haven't fully recovered from the impact of COVID-19. So there's still a lot of work there to do with businesses to bring them back up to where they were pre-COVID levels. But obviously the support that BLP is providing is helping more businesses to get into that COVID recovery position than the unsupported ones. We also look at employment and household incomes for Pacific communities, and we ask businesses what the changes in their employee numbers have been over the last 12 months. And we found the supported group, 44% had reported an increase in employees compared to 27% in the unsupported. Those that reported a decrease in employee numbers, just 13% in the supported group compared to 19% in the unsupported, and no change was slightly higher with the unsupported group. But definitely they're showing that the support that BLP provides, where businesses are reporting increases in turnover and profitability, we would assume that longer term they would employ more people, and those businesses would grow and share that prosperity with their communities. We also look at the inclusivity, sustainability, climate resilience. We ask businesses around their contributions to inclusion and climate resilience over the last 12 months, and again found that 72% reported they'd contributed to social inclusion and supported their local communities compared to 56%. And those that had invested in climate resilience, 65% of the supported group compared to 44% of the unsupported group. So I think it's the interesting results here. I think not only the BLP support, but also as Pacific Island businesses are more successful, they look to share that prosperity with their communities, but also interestingly investing in longer term resilience and climate resilience. And I think some of the information that we're able to provide in those areas has been really helpful. So I'll finish up there. We invite any questions or comments on the presentation, and yeah, please use the hand up function on the display. Put your hand up, and we'll take some questions. Okay, I think we've got a question from Angela in Cook Islands. Yeah, please introduce yourself, and if you've got any comments and questions, yeah, very happy to answer. Over to you, Angela.
Thanks, Steve. My name's Angela Kennedy. I'm BSM here for BLP out of the Cook Islands Chamber of Commerce. My question, Steve, is the statistics are really good. I mean, super. From a BSM point of view, it really validates all that we're doing, I guess. And my question, though, is why do we think these statistics are so positive? Is there one or two things that we can attribute it to, or what do you think? How is this possible?
That's a great question. Thanks, Angela. Yeah, well, we made the groups as comparable as possible to try and sort of take out those other factors that may influence the influence the results. So the main differences were that the businesses had received support through BLP. So advisory services, I think, is a key part of what's driving that difference in performance between the supported and the unsupported group. But I think also the quality approval process that we have with business advisors through BLP means that we can assure a level of quality in that business advice as well. So whereas some of the unsupported group did report that they had used business advisory services, they weren't necessarily those quality approved business advisory services. So I think, you know, business advice generally, but good quality business advice is really what's making the difference. Do we have another question? Sorry, Sandra, I can't see the questions on my screen. Do you want to?
Yeah, we don't have any questions on the chat box at the moment, but it would be nice to hear from the rest of the team in country. For example, we got Raj Sharma with his hand up. You got a question, Raj?
Sorry, not necessarily a question. You can hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, and thank you very much for the BLP. I mean, we are one of the partners, and we are quite honored and privileged for all the support that you, Paul, and Richard have been providing to us. In fact, when I look at the list of, and it's very specific presentation that you have made it, and when I looked at the list of countries that you are serving, is marvelous. And when one also looked at your presentation in the different sectors that you are doing, majority is tourism, then you got agriculture and others. Actually, when you look at these Pacific Island countries, some of these areas would have been marginalized in the sense of access to market, which Australian Aid or some other aids are doing. It would be interesting, this is just a point, to all these countries, you have a 1 hour session. It would be interesting for all us partners to get together either in presence or even on the Zoom for half-day planning session as to how we Pacific Island countries can synergize with your leadership, with your people's guidance to create a market for the people. For example, in agricultural sector, we may be funding. There is a tourism, how you can link and create the market. Even a market to create in New Zealand. There is a Pacific Island Chamber of Commerce in New Zealand, I suppose. These sort of things, the people grow in these isolated areas and create a market for them to export the things. So you are making a real impact to the livelihoods of the people who have been marginalized or outside of the stream. That's just a suggestion. Thank you. That's all.
That's great, Raj. Thanks for your comments, and yeah, thanks for your support over the last 12 months, and the partnership that we have with you. Any other questions? Gabriel, do you have a question? You on the line?
Yes. And Steve, allow me this opportunity to say thank you to our partners in PNG, because without them, we wouldn't be showing this kind of results, particularly Women's Microbank and Kinabank people. We are truly excited. Can I please speak with regards to the business support grants that we provide? As an example, as a practical example of how some of these things are really working. So increasingly, everyone, we are seeing in PNG, the business support grants provide like a stepping stone, like a push start kind of a thing. And increasingly, so, you know, they come to the business support grant and we get them all started and they get all geared up and excited and they start to increase sales in volumes and range of products, etc. And so we're increasingly seeing a trend where they then come to us and say, hey, we need extra financing. And we said, look, we've got our partners with the Women's Microbank and Kina Bank. Please go to them. So we happily do those referrals. And for example, an engineer in FEM took out, received support from the grant facility, and he has now secured a long-term contract with New Cobra Mine. Believe me, getting your leg in the door of a mining, world-class mining company is no small thing. It's a big thing. And also we are, Steve and everyone else in PNG, we are starting to deepen our relationship with our financial institutions. We are getting monthly regular meetings. So, and Steve, maybe you can speak more about what the opportunities are there for us in terms of working closely with the commercial banks, financial institutions, through their branch within country, and for those institutions that have branches throughout the Pacific. I think the opportunities are huge, enormous. Please speak to us about that.
Yeah, thanks, Gabriel, and yeah, thanks for those examples from PNG. Yeah, we have a number of financial institution partnerships across the Pacific, and we're hoping to increase those in the coming year. But we, as we were saying earlier on that slide with the barriers to accessing finance, there's sort of 3 or 4 key ways that we work with the banks. First of all, we have some wholesale capital that we place with some financial institutions, which they're then able to on-lend to SMEs. And we're able to pipeline businesses through to be able to secure loans from that. We also use the grants to provide cash collateral to help businesses to access loans. And we have a new cash equity guarantee scheme that we've got running with HFC currently in Fiji, where we will guarantee part of the cash equity security requirements of the loan. But I think the area where we've really seen some great results working more closely with the banks is around partnering on business advisory services, being able to provide business advisory services to businesses to better present their loan applications, but also providing support to businesses once they've secured their loan, to help them to manage their repayments and make sure that they use that finance in an effective way.
Steve, I would want to just add on to that, if I may.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to help understand how we work here in Fiji for Business Assistance Fiji, we work very closely with the financing institutions like Merchant Bank, HFC Bank, Fiji Development Bank, Sugarcane Growers Fund. Of course, when they need or they have clients, and if there's clients who are missing, they don't have proper financial reports, or they didn't need cash flows or a business plan, then they refer them to us, and it's vice versa. We refer clients to them, to these financing institutions. So besides the equity support, besides the wholesome capital or the credit guarantee scheme, as the in-country partner, this is what we do. And what we have done is we have gone to these institutions and discussed the services that we offer. So just to let my friend from PNG know that sometimes we can't be having a product and sit. I think we can go to these commercial banks, we can go to these financing institutions and talk to them and let them know the services that we offer. And definitely there are clients who need the support when they want to access loan. So so reaching out to these financing institutions in terms of our services is very important.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ramesh. I think that's a really good point. And sort of going back to that slide near the beginning where we had the 3 markets, the financial institutions, the business advisory services, and the PSOs, we really see that sort of whole ecosystem working together to provide the support that SMEs need in order to grow. Yeah, no, thanks for that input.
Steve, we have quite contributions from Samoa and Fiji.
John, do you want to go next?
Thanks, Steve. John here, local BSM here in Samoa. Just a few examples on the same lines in terms of, but I think my example will be from a different angle towards financing, and it's focused on improved business performance and growth. Working with a lot of Savati-based businesses who, women-led businesses. Initially, when our first engagement, businesses have so much gaps in areas and opportunities for support. And we were able to provide, grant funding to help them purchase, equipment that they needed, in which they were able to increase their production capacity and output, as well as, which translates across, improved performances in terms of turnover, profitability, and also creating opportunities for employment. But the things that we've observed as well, as a result of that, with continuous growth, they were able to approach the banks for additional access to financing and applying for a loan. Of course, the banks have seen, evidence of their growth, with, increase in sales and a profitable business, and they were able to grant, additional funding, in which, provide that capital to upgrade their facilities and invest in, staff, and things like that. So I think, the program is working really well in terms of its advisory services and grants, especially in rural areas, which leads me to, sort of like my question to Steve. And, the question I have is, why does BLP as a program offer, a variety of subsidies and grants? And, if you can elaborate more on how these facilitate or support business growth. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John. And I think, as you were saying in your in your examples, that there's such a range of different sized businesses in the Pacific, and different countries that we're working in, businesses that are more rural and less sophisticated, right through to businesses that are doing digital transformation and are more tech orientated, much more sophisticated, and larger businesses that are employing more people. So the grants and the finance facilitation, we sort of try to find entry points for businesses at different points depending on where they are in their development cycle. So we've got the small grants facility, which is more targeted at harder to reach businesses, less sophisticated businesses, maybe in more rural areas, that are able to access those grants, but also gets those businesses thinking about presenting financial information and some of the things that they would need to do in order to access other forms of finance. We then have the business growth grants, which are targeted at slightly bigger businesses, a bit more sophisticated in terms of the business advisory support that's provided and wrapped around those grants. And then we've got a new co-investment facility that we're looking at next year, which again is targeting slightly larger businesses with a contribution from those businesses alongside a grant from BLP, maybe also involving some access to finance or a loan from a financial institution, and pipelining those businesses into our financial institution partners to be able to access other forms of finance, commercial loans, etc., longer term. So the full range of ways that we can interact with those different businesses. And then also the business advisory services themselves. Accounting and finance is often an important advisory service in the first instance, but then a full range of other services that businesses need as they begin to grow. So we try to take a holistic approach. Work in a lot of different countries with a lot of different sized businesses, and try and tailor our approach that best suits the country, the context, and the businesses that we're working with. Deepak, do you have a question?
Thanks, Steve. I just wanted to share some of the highlights from the BLP program in Fiji, and sharing some of the examples of the business growth in Fiji, and also some of the BLPs investing in the inclusion of the people living with disabilities, SMEs in Fiji. I got a SME whom we helped through the business support grant. It was the Arif Enterprise. Like the business operates a canteen for past 3 years in Nosuri area. I conducted a business diagnosis for his business and provided him with the report and link with the service provider later on to prepare his business financial statement, which was like he never prepared, like it was for year the 2022. And after that, he received the subsidy for the financial preparation in 2023. Later on, once the business support grant was open, like he applied for it and he managed to get the grant to buy some stocks and freezer for his canteen business. And later on, the business has managed to take a loan from one of the merchant finance to buy a van, which he uses now to supply the canteen items to other canteen operators in Suba to Nosuri corridor areas, and which has been quite helpful for him. Like once his paperwork, the financials was up to date, the cash flow was there with the support from the service provider, and he was managed to produce it to with the banks, and then he was able to get the loan. And also I got a business named Sami Snacks and Sweets. Like the business owner is a disabled, and he operates a manufacturing, wholesaling, and retail Indian sweets and snacks for past 3 years. The business approach as one of our service provider for his financial preparation, like which was he was pending behind for past 3 years. Like he has been operating, but without the knowledge of getting the financial prepared. And later on, the service provider, he linked, referred the SME with us, and whereby I conducted the business diagnosis. I provided him with the report, and the service provider was able to get the apply subsidy for his business, and his financials got up to date. So later on, once the business support grant was open, he applied for it. As since he was able to meet all the requirements, then business got supported in terms of getting the equipment and stock for his business, which amounted about 500 Fijian dollars, and which has supported his business to grow from after receiving the grant. And my question is what are the most used advisory services and why?
Yeah, no, there's some great examples, and yeah, I think as you were saying there, the advisory services that SMEs often access first of all are those accounting and financial management services. Often small businesses, they really benefit from better understanding how their finances work, having access to good quality financial information, and really, until they know where they are from a financial perspective, it's very difficult for them to then be able to move on and produce a business plan, go for a loan application, make decisions about employing people. They need to know where they are from a financial perspective first. Yeah, finance and accounting are the most popular services that we see. But then once people use those services, they often then go on to use other services like marketing and HR. And then more recently, we've developed some competencies for social inclusion advisory and also climate advisory. And small businesses are starting to access those kind of services as well. But yeah, no, thanks for your comments and question. Fai, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve and the team. So Fai from Kina Bank, PNG. So basically, I don't really have a question, but I would like to take this opportunity to say how grateful Kina Bank is for the collaboration. It was a great presentation and statistics as well. and that's part of it. I'll talk a bit more shortly. But firstly, I would like to really congratulate BLP because of the continuous engagement that we've been getting from BLP, which is a lot of support. And I must say that that kind of like created a bit of a so-called, like it was a different service proposition altogether, and what we wanted to achieve to bring to the PNG market. I would really like to say that. Our partnership started back in 2021. It has been nothing but amazing. The support from yourself, Paul, and Richard is tremendous, and it has kind of like, you know, I would like to say under the whole program, we've actually extended close to 80 or 90 SMEs, which are forever grateful with the assistance that they've got. And we definitely couldn't have done it without the journey together with BLP. And the other thing is what I felt that BLP is doing differently from some of the other parties is, you know, BLP knows the actual issues faced by the SMEs on the ground and working towards closing the gaps with the rightful parties. And we're very happy to be part of that journey as well. And I do acknowledge the part that the banks also play a part in making you know, financials a bit more accessible to the segment itself. Yes, and that's the part where the technical assistance comes into play as well. So we look forward to deepening our strategic partnerships in 2025, and we're happy to actually share some of our new products with BLP as well. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Vi. No, thanks very much for those comments. Peter Jack, do you have a question or a comment?
Can you hear us?
Yep.
It's Craig Fritz. I'm the Director for Commerce here in Nauru. First of all, I'd just like to thank you for your very informative presentation. And secondly, like this is the first time that I've joined you guys at this meeting, and I'm very curious with the business link. What is your actual role? And like here we don't. One of our biggest challenges here is like having access to financial institutions, and we have a bank here, but it only works as an agency. So it's how do I like? What's the role of the business link, and how can you help us establish something similar to that?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question, and thanks for joining from Nauru. We've only started working in Nauru recently. Business Link Pacific is a New Zealand government funded program, and it's delivered by DT Global. We're a development program management company, but we deliver this program for the New Zealand government across 12 countries. And the focus of the program is supporting SMEs to grow and expand and employ more people and contribute to the local Pacific Island economies. We use a network of business advisors, and you know, I think we've identified a couple of potential business advisors in Nauru that we can work with, but we have this broader network of more than 200 advisors across the Pacific region that we can deploy to help small businesses in Nauru as well. I mean, as I understand it, there are some challenges in the banking market in Nauru. I'm not sure, yeah, that we have a potential banking partner in Nauru, and it may be a bit beyond the scope of this program to be able to solve that particular issue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, thanks, Peter. Thanks for your inputs.
Steve, we have more contributions from Solomon Islands is back, and Safi in PNG.
Okay. Should we take, is that Rodney first?
Yes, Steve, I was just wondering if I can share a screen of a climate mitigation support that BLP did in the Western Province.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Is it coming up?
I can't see it at the moment.
Your screen came out, but it's blank.
Yeah. Do you want to just talk to it, Rodney?
Okay. Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
it's up.
Yep. Yep. We can see that. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is a resort in Western Province. It's called Titiru Eco Lodge, and if you can see there, the setup was affected by king tide, and so the BLP support helps them to build up sea wall, and also they got tanks from BLP support to help them get fresh water, because their water source was also, the sea level rise also affected it. And they were able to also build a new bungalow. Their old bungalow was also affected by the king tide. So these are the photos of the improvement helped by BLP. I don't know if you can see this one as well.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. I have to go and stay there sometime. You have to take me up there, Rodney. Have we still got you?
Go ahead.
Have we lost you, Rodney? Some great inputs. Thanks for sharing those pictures. That really brings to life some of the support that we've been able to provide. And yeah, for a while now, I've wanted to try and get up to Western Province. But
Yeah. Sorry, Steve, I wanted to put up a video of that guy talking and thanking BLP, but it didn't turn out well, so sorry. Yeah, but we've seen the photos, so that's good.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Thanks for sharing that.
Hello, Steve. Can I chip in?
Hi, Ben. Yeah, of course.
Referring back to your presentation that saw some, positive impacts of business advisory that rendered to SMEs. So I'd like to share a little bit on that, especially on those a bit smaller size businesses that are struggling with basic things like maintaining basic record, having financial report to base their business decision on, and deal with their tax issues. And then the other level up, I believe, is the when they need cash flow to submit their loan to the bank. So we've suggested an idea, kind of a pilot to Smith, which we tried to do. It was challenging, but it provides some, at this stage, it provides some insight in terms of there are couple of businesses that being advised on certain basic things like keeping record, opening the bank account, to build up their kind of reputation or with the bank, so that in say 18 months down the road, when they need some small maybe loan or overdraft, I believe the bank can consider them rather than like having nothing. So I believe this is one area I think it has potential. It needs more work into it, but the insight or that I gathered here is maybe in the future, say 12, 18 months, 24 months down the road, those business that able to take on advice can deal with basic things and show some positive result, and which they can build on and improve their business. So just an input.
Great, thanks, Ben. And yeah, I think you're right. You know, it's from small businesses, the bigger businesses grow, isn't it? So you know, we need to support those small businesses as well, and you know, get them started on their track to growth. Katrina, did you have a question from Vanuatu?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Yes, I do have a question from Vanuatu. The question is, what can you say to businesses that are affected by external shocks such as cyclones, floods, or microeconomic downturns, and how can they become more resilient?
Well,
as we here in Vanuatu are prone to cyclones, and we have volcano as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, over the last few years, when as BLP operating, I mean, there have been a number of cyclones and disasters in the Pacific and pandemic and yeah, so many things for small businesses to have to contend with. I mean, what we have been able to do as these things have happened, been able to react quickly through the networks that we've got to be able to get support to the businesses when they need it. Because after these kind of shocks, it is very difficult for businesses to get back on their feet again, and you know, often a lot of businesses, you know, never do recover from these kind of shocks. The earlier that we can work through you as our partners on the ground to be able to, you know, identify who needs support and get that support through to them, the better. And you know, I think we've been able to do that pretty successfully in a number of different occasions. So that sort of disaster response is definitely something that we we're able to react to, and you know, we have our existing partners and we have the structures in place to be able to, you know, get small grants to businesses to help them get themselves back on their feet quickly. But longer term, I think you're right. Resilience is what we need to look at. You know, how do we help businesses to be better prepared for these kind of shocks? You know, the moving businesses from paper-based systems to computer or cloud-based, or to, you know, be able to have records that don't get completely destroyed and having to start from scratch again is you know, is one way we can help businesses to become more resilient. And we also have a business continuity planner online, which I think you're very familiar with, where businesses can go through the different things that are useful to them in terms of maintaining business continuity and preparing for these kind of shocks that can happen, and make sure that their business is as resilient as it can be. But yeah, definitely an area where we're keen to focus and you know, continue to support businesses in the future. Yeah, one of the things that we monitor, as we saw in the presentation, is whether a business feels more resilient than they were 12 months ago. And you know, how can we support more businesses to become more resilient over time? So yeah, no, thanks for that question. It's a really good one. And Adele, do we have a question from you before we start to wrap up? You have Adele online? Maybe not. I did see her hand up.
Hi, Steve. Devika
Hi
here
there.
from HFC Bank.
Hi, Pritika. Do you have
How
a
are you?
question?
How is Devika here?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, we just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the partnership between HFC Bank, Business Link Pacific, and Business Assistance Fiji. Through this partnership, we have been able to assist most of our SME customers. We have more than 2 million exposure where we have assisted our SME customers. During this partnership, what we have done, we were able to look at our lending policy and guidelines as well, knowing that the SME sector is pretty much, I would say, riskier portfolio for most of the financial institutions in Fiji. However, during this, as part of this partnership, we were able to look into assisting our customers in terms of relaxing a little bit of our credit guidelines as well. And we are definitely looking forward to working together as a team and increase our relationship and assisting our customers in the next financial year, I would say. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pritika. And we really value our partnership with HFC, and I think there's lots more that we can do together to support small businesses in Fiji. So thanks again for your support as well. Okay, we're getting close to the end. I think maybe just a couple of last quick contributions before we finish.
Steve, can I ask something?
Yes, Ramesh.
Steve, prior to this Business Link Pacific program, there was business mentoring program by MFED, which was not very successful. But Business Link Pacific is in the second phase of the program, and it has really made a lot of impact on MSMEs in not only in Fiji but in the Pacific. And I don't know if there is any MFED person in this webinar at the moment or not, but I mean, people are getting so used to Business Link Pacific, and the relationship, the programs are also expanding. Now the financing institutions are coming in. So just wanted to know what's MFED's view and what is their plan for the expansion which BLP is doing and the impact that is getting. I know where to now and what's the future looks for a Business Link Pacific program.
No, thanks, Ramesh. I don't think that we've got anyone from MFED online that could respond to that, but I'll do my best to. I mean, we've had fantastic support from the New Zealand government, a 5-year first phase of BLP, and then a second 5-year phase. And I think that kind of sort of long-term programming that the New Zealand government invests in really gets results. We've been able to develop the program, develop the services, develop the partnerships and the relationships. And as we all know, things take time in the Pacific. Developing relationships, rolling out these kind of programs takes time. And I think that's been one of the keys to the great results that BLP's been able to achieve, is that we've had the time to be able to develop these deep, well-functioning partnerships with the partners that we work with in the Pacific. BLP is not going to be around forever. We've got another 2.5 years of this phase. There may be a third phase. But at some point, BLP will finish as a funded program. But I think what our long-term vision is for our partners to continue the work that we've started through this program. So, a lot of the systems and the processes and the ways of working that we've been able to share with, fantastic partners like Business Assistance Fiji, who are, really doing a lot of what BLP started out doing themselves now. So, I think in the coming years, what we would like to see is our partners really take more and more ownership of the BLP program, so that it's not dependent on a donor partner, but is something that continues and is sustainable long term.
Thank you.
Maybe a last question from Dion. You have,
Yes. Hi there, Steve. Good to see you. Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick comment and a word of acknowledgement with our as the support we had provided to one of our exporters here in Vanuatu in 2022 to get HACCP certified. They've been able to maintain that certification because it allowed them to access the cruise ship market. So just following on from what you mentioned earlier on, that Business Link Pacific has indeed been able to provide long-term benefits to its beneficiaries, so that it's able to sustain itself in the long term. So this particular client is after getting certified in 2022, they've invested to maintain that certification up to, obviously they're currently maintaining it up to this year because of the benefits that it's given them accessing the commercial formal markets. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that, Steve. Thank you.
No, thanks, Dion.
I hope we can continue to work into the future. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we will. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think we're just over the hour, so I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you everybody for attending the webinar. It's been a pleasure to share the results of the BLP program, and fantastic to have such a great conversation and hear such encouraging remarks from everyone. That really does inspire us and make us look forward to what we can all achieve together in the next years. So thank you all again, and have a Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year and a Happy Holidays. And we look forward to seeing you all again in January. Thanks very much.